Hello everybody, and thank you first of all to Dublin City Council for welcoming us here today. It's lovely to be looking out on the Liffey on this really lovely evening. And secondly, I want to say big congratulations to Eamon Gilmore and the Labour Party on their tremendous results, and of course on the election of Emer Costello as a woman Lord Mayor in Dublin this year. And I think that with a very strong left wing on Dublin City Council, I know that we can look forward to lots of good things happening for many people in the city over the coming year. So I think we can all be happy with that. I also, of course, would like to say to them, you know, the Chinese curse, may you live in interesting times, and indeed we do. Secondly, a very, very, very big congratulations to Pride, to the Pride Committee. Because of these interesting times, I think it must have been very difficult this year in particular to get together the sponsorship, the energy, the will, the vision, the commitment to put together such a really wonderful, splendiferous Pride programme. And many, many, many congratulations. I know the hard work that goes into it. So please, congratulations to everybody on the Pride Committee for that. It may go without saying, but I really am going to say it. I am absolutely honoured and delighted to have been invited by the Pride, by Dublin Pride, to be this year's Grand Marshal. When I first peered out, and I do use the word deliberately, when I first peered out about 25 years ago, and please stop trying to calculate anything, I couldn't even have begun to dream of all of the extraordinary achievements against the odds of our very many splendored LGBTQ, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgendered and queer communities. And I certainly never ever dreamed of being the first lesbian to lead us proudly down O'Connell Street, and I will do so with great pride and great gusto and great brio. And just in case you're worrying, I do have plan A, plan B and plan C for the outfit, depending on the weather. You can work it out. Peering out, I just want to go back to that word for a moment. I felt when I came out a bit like a cuckoo, you know, now you see me, now you don't. Or I began to think a little bit more elegantly like a solo dancer. I stepped out, then I stepped in again, living a strange double or even maybe a half life. Because there were so many situations in which I couldn't be open about my sexuality, about being lesbian. It was bad enough being what they called a known feminist radical, but adding lesbian to the mix was a kind of harakiri exercise, personally, politically, and I have to say, academically. And I just want to take one moment to remind us that there is a kind of double jeopardy for women who are lesbian, women who are gay. It's not quite as straightforward as it might seem. And the great research which has been done on lesbian health and access to health services for lesbians by the women in Link in Cork and by Marie Query in Lassie up in Belfast actually came up with the finding that, of course, very many lesbians don't actually access health services at all because of the fear they have of disclosing or of having to disclose their sexual identity. And I think it can be very easy for us to forget that. Just my own personal story, when I told my then partner, the father of my daughter, that I was lesbian, there were very sad and very difficult repercussions. Happily, they have long been sorted out because it was 25 years ago. But these things, as everybody here knows, leave a scar, and that scar can often be a very painful one. For a very long time, I couldn't tell most of my family. For some of them, lesbian is still a word they don't use very much, if at all. And I think that, you know, very many of us are accustomed to the kind of euphemisms, the ways of talking around it, at which, well, I won't name which member of it's my mother, is absolutely wonderful. And I will tell you a very short, brief story. I was on a radio programme some time ago. It was a Sunday morning discussion. I think it was probably Andy O'Mahony. and there was a gay guy who was talking about difficulties in the workplace, only he actually said, oh, well, I think that those days are over, that's all finished. And I was apoplectic, actually, with rage and also anxiety, because I know very well that these days of having difficulties and discrimination in the workplace are far from over for lesbians and gays and transgendered people. So, I immediately launched into the fray and spoke at some length and said, as a lesbian, this, that and the other. And in the evening, I got a phone call from my mother, who sounded very distressed, well, disapproving, I think, really, rather than distressed. And I said, Mum, is there a problem? What's wrong? She said, yes. She said, I don't like you using that bedroom language on a Sunday. And there is something there that's actually very kind of important, because I think that because lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgendered, queer identities are so closely, they are about our sexuality. They are actually about who we have sex with. And they really are, who we like to have sex with, I think, very often. There is actually no getting away from that. But I noticed that the heterosexual world, and with all due respect to all of the straight people here, will go to great lengths to actually get around that. Now, I don't have a problem with who I have sex with or want to have, or who I want to have sex with, right? That is not a problem. That's not the issue. That is not the difficulty for me in my life. That is not the main problem. The main problem is that other people have problems and cause problems for me in my life because I have sex and form relationships and have deep emotional attachments and all kinds of relationships with women, with people of my own sex. And the same is true of gay men. The same is true of gay men, of course. And I think that we need to face up to that. We can take on something, I think, in our own communities at times of slightly circumnavigating language and so on and so forth. And I say, absolutely, let's not do it. Let's not do it at all. Let's not circumnavigate anything. Let's actually stand up, which is what I think we do in Pride, and say, this is who we are. We have sex. I have sex with women. He has sex with men. There is nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's amazing, it's extraordinary, and it's wonderful. And I am very, very proud of it.